let's begin. I'm going to take you back there. Feel all weight drift away. How are you feeling?
Good, I think.
Do you recall anything from the session? Focus. What is happening?
This was the day Billy was taken.
Them kids. They didn't stay buried. It's as if the earth itself was allowing this horror to rise up.
There's some unsettling similarities to the 100-Acre Massacre.
It's not safe. There have been loads of murders leading to Ashdown.
Tell me everything you saw, please.
I knew that this day would come.
All of Ashdown will burn.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally, my pursuit has led me to this. Before this movie was even, I think, as far as I know, started shooting when I first heard about it. I shot you an email and said I have to interview you. This idea is beautiful. Welcome, Scott Chambers. Welcome, the producer of both Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and its sequel, the upcoming Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. First of all, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
This movie was, like I said, I grew up a Trauma fan. I grew up a slasher fan of stuff in the 80s. And as soon as I heard this was happening, where other people were like, "Oh my goodness, you're destroying my childhood," I was like, "Hey, it was part of my childhood too. Hack away."
Yeah.
What inspired you to get this started with the whole Pooh, Blood and Honey franchise?
So basically, in a nutshell, I started producing about 8 years ago. And what I was trying to do, I was trying to basically make 100 feature films by a certain age. The reason for that was because if I ever got in a room where I could pitch for like proper budgets, I wanted to kind of like look like I was very competent of like working on low budgets and stuff. And then I did the 100 films, and then after that I was like, okay, how do I get myself on the map now? Like I need to, you know, make some stuff that's a bit more clickbaity that people are going to see, that could go a bit viral. So then I started doing stuff like Humpty Dumpty, Jack and Jill, like these nursery rhymes and stuff. And then one day I saw on Twitter that Winnie the Pooh went in the public domain. I didn't really think too much about it. I just went, cool, I'll do him. I'll make him like Jason Voorhees with Reese. And it was just on the conveyor belt. That year I made 47 feature films. I also acted because I do acting as well. I was acting in a TV show and another movie called Dr. Jekyll. And yeah, it was just on the conveyor belt of 47 films. And one night it blew up. Like I went to the toilet one night. And when I got back in bed, I couldn't sleep. And I was on my phone and I saw on Twitter, it was just like, it was everywhere. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So that's how it came to be.
Yeah, now everybody, even fan, director, creator, everybody has their influence. Like me, like I said, I grew up Friday the 13th.
Mhm.
You know, John Carpenter, Mario Bava, Dario Argento. What
Yeah.
were your influences coming up? Were your influences kind of like mine?
Yeah, very similar. Like I love opera. That's one of my favorite slashers. I think that's great. I love stuff like Switchblade Romance, which I love a lot of French cinema. I think is really gritty and really real. So I like that kind of stuff. And you're going to see a lot of that in Peter Pan because I'm directing Peter Pan, and that's a lot of my reference. Those type of films, and like Inside, I love. But yeah, as a kid, I literally grew up from like 7 years old, 7 years old onwards, like with horror films like Species and Scream and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that was all my older brother. He would put it on, and yeah, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, see, it sounds like me because, like I said, I grew up. I'm an '80s kid, and
Yeah,
we would watch the mainline stuff that would come out, like the Friday.
yeah,
But for every, and I was talking with Eddie about this. For every mainline horror movie that come out, there were like 10 or 20 of them that were knockoffs of them.
yeah,
There was nothing to do. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have a lot of stuff. You just went to the movies, and these things were out, and that's what you did, and that's how I got into my horror. But you say you've done like all 40 features and things like that. What do you think it was about this one that really just was like the one that made everybody notice?
yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just because it like the IP is so famous. Like everyone knows Winnie the Pooh, and I think because he's so famous anyway, because of the great work that's been done on him in other adaptations, I feel like people knew that character so strongly. So when we made him a horror villain, it was just so what the fuck. I think that's what made it blow up. I think.
Do you get because like I said, I get a lot. I'm getting a lot of emails about how can you do this, and
Yep.
about this because of some of the interviews you posted. I'm pretty sure yours has to be amplified hundredfold about you destroying people's childhoods. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, well, Reese gets death threats, which I think luckily Reese has got a really thick skin, and he kind of like I think he finds it a bit funny, but yeah, I think some of it's like so over the top. But my reaction to it is just like we've not ruined anyone's childhood. Your childhood still exists, and if you want to go and watch the cartoons of Winnie the Pooh, you can still do it. But the thing is, anyone in our generation or of our ages and stuff, like, are you really watching kids movies? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is meant for adults. Like, this is a
Yeah,
horror
it's
version.
not meant for kids.
Yeah,
It's
and
meant for
like,
kids like me. It's meant for kids like me because if I was 10 and 12, the old man would take me to this. I mean, he's
yeah,
a old man too. But other than normal society, yeah, you're not gonna. This isn't gonna. It shouldn't give you nightmares about your Winnie the Pooh. The process of making something like this to where you have a limited amount of budget.
yeah,
How I've seen the differences just in the trailers, and when I was
mm,
talking to Brewster about the difference between a mask and then the prosthetic makeup. What are the other differences that allowed you, that applied to this film that the budget allowed you to do?
yeah. So with the first film, the script was actually written in 3 days by Reese. So the budget allowed for like Reese to have time to kind of book out a lot of time, like as a writer director with Matt Leslie, the co-writer. So they spent a lot of time on that. So obviously budget allows for that, and Matt is a really great writer. Like he's really really special. So and he's got a lot of history with in the horror genre and all that kind of stuff. So we're able to get a really talented writer on. And then stuff like the amount of actors, like there's a lot of cast in this film. In the first one, I think it was like 10 people all in, whereas in this film, there's about 100 actors, like, and there's a lot of, horror and gore. Like the gore is
Ah,
up
thank
so
you.
much. Yeah.
I needed to hear that from you.
Yeah.
I heard it from the previous people we interviewed, but I needed to hear because, like I
No,
said,
it is. Yeah. You're going to be very happy. Like there's
thank you.
the opening sequence is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. It's so brutal, it's so violent, and you don't really see much of it in the trailer. Like, like normally trailers, they show you all the best bits. I can tell you now, like the best bits actually weirdly are not in our trailer, but I think it's because they're too gory. So like the opening sequence really is not in the trailer, and that's incredible. There's another sequence with a character, and it's to do with an eyeball, and that's
Oh no, I told
yeah, that's really nasty, and that's not even in the trailer. And then there's another sequence to do with the rave. You can kind of see a bit of the rave in the trailer, like a little bit, but there's a sequence and it involves it's just carnage amongst a group of people, and every single death is really disgusting. So
I love your enthusiasm about the Carnage because, like I said, I
yeah,
have
it's really good. Like it genuinely is really good, and it's all practical effects and stuff. Like there's very little VFX in this one.
I have a scale which I judge these movies on, and it's called the 3D scale. It's like death, dismemberment, and destruction. I knew you gave me that when the first trailer. When I saw the pool scene, I'm like, dude, this guy gave me all 3Ds in the trailer. I'm with him. Whatever he makes, I'm down for. So the scale of Carnage on this compared to the first one is literally something.
It's another level. Like, we've put so much of the money into that, like a lot of our budget, because people are still saying we had $1 million budget. We didn't. Like, we had a lot less, and we're going to announce it probably nearer the time of the release. In like some, I think Reese is going to announce it, so it's not really for me to say, but it's not $1 million. But what we had was substantially more, but it was not $1 million. But yeah, we put a lot of the money into like the prosthetics and the gore and getting the amount of actors that we could to kind of just kill them all.
Just the rave alone is more than people than you had in the first movie by one scene alone.
I think there's 60, 70 people in that, and it's not going to be great for them characters. So yeah.
Oh my goodness! The fact that you can tell me that with the smile that I needed to be told is wonderful.
Yeah, it was hell to film it. It was hell to film it because it's so stressful. There's so much to do, and the amount of blood, we're just destroying the location, and we got in a lot of trouble. So it was hell to make, but when I watch it, I'm just like, it's awesome. So yeah.
When I know it says 2024, but do you guys and I can edit this out if you're not ready, but do you guys have a release date for this? And how is it going to be like I did the first one because I went to the Fathom event here, and I even showed you guys my ticket because I was there. Is it going to be a release like that, or is it going to be a little bit different?
So it is going to be a Fathom release, and they are going to announce it. So annoyingly, we're not allowed to, but Fathom are going to announce it, I think, at the end of this week or next week. So very soon you're going to know, but it is coming out very soon. So like I'd say, I'll say like before April, the film's going to be out. So, but yeah, next week you're going to find out. And then on the way up to the release, we're going to keep dropping loads of clips and, short teasers and trailers, like clips you've not seen from the movie. They're going to be all in that. Loads of new stills. It's going to be good. And we've got some new movies in the same universe that we're going to announce on the lead up to the film. And one of them in particular, I genuinely think people are going to go crazy over. There's one film, you'll know it when it gets announced. You will know what film it is. It's going to be crazy, this film.
Oh my goodness! I mean, because you had me jazzed. I mean, Bambi is going to be something. I mean, just the thought of Bambi being done.
Bambi doesn't have anything on this. This other one that we're going to announce, we're getting a poster made for it right now. But just wait. Like, this film is going to be crazy. I'm so excited.
Oh, now I am too, and I don't even know what the hell it is. I mean, I was already excited. I mean, like I said, you had me at just the title of Pooh, Blood, and Honey was like, I have to find this man.
Yeah, wait for what we've got coming. Just wait. It's what I wish I could say.
Hey, man, it's worth the wait. Now, it took you what 10 days for to film the original?
Less. It was shot in 6 days.
Okay.
So basically, it was shot in 6 days, in like 2 locations. And then when the film went viral, we were like, oh shit, people are going to see this. And it was a bit scary because the film was made cheap. It was made fast, So we asked for some additional financing because the first film was made on £20,000. So that's 5,000 more than Skinamarink. And I'm not putting any shade on that, but I'm just saying, as in, if you put the comparison side by side, it's like that's a found footage film with no actors versus, a standard film with a full cast, deaths and all this kind of stuff. So, it was a bit like shit. We needed to up it a bit. So then we got like an additional budget of, I think, £15,000. We went and reshot a load of stuff. And then the trailer dropped, it went viral again. And we were like, fuck, we really want more money to reshoot the whole ending. And then we got like another 20 grand to go and reshoot the ending.
Oh, wow.
Have the explosion and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, and we reshot the girl that gets put in the wood chipper because her death was originally, it's on the DVD extras, it's not very good. And we reshot that, made that better. So, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Because that was like, I'm looking at, because that was the most graphic death of the, there's just other stuff that goes on in the original, but putting the girl head first into the wood chipper, that was what took me back to like Friday the 13th part 2 or part 3.
This is literally, with WInnie The Pooh, like that was Reese's reference. Like me and Reese, we really miss characters like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. The list I'm sure could go on. But basically, there's characters that we miss, and we're trying to basically bring them back via these characters. So via WInnie The Pooh, this is our kind of Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, and then with Peter Pan, that's going to be our like Black Phone, but also a wink back to a lot of French cinema slasher wise that you just don't see anymore, or stuff like Dario Argento, stuff like opera and stuff like that. So like really gory, brutal horror is what we were trying to bring back.
Well, because we don't have that anymore. Like I said, this is coming from someone who grew up with that and then saw it go away. Like some of those same characters, like Freddy and all that, he became more of a comedian. I couldn't take him seriously. Friday the 13th for me, and I know this is going to upset a lot of people, but after Friday the 13th, part 3 or 4, it wasn't about the quality of the movies. The quality of the kills were always there. They always had crazy Wile E. Coyote type kills from 4 on. But Friday the 13th, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are to me what the franchise was about. And then when you see the remakes, you see everything else, it's taking away from it, and it's almost like they're trying to make the killers relatable to you. And I'm like, these people are. Jason's putting a harpoon in the guy's eye in 3D. I can't relate.
And when I totally agree. I think Friday the 13th 1 to 4 were like really like they all were in line with one another. They all made sense. They were like a collective piece. They all work. And then 5 I really wasn't a fan of. And then after that I felt like it got a bit clickbait. It was more like like one's like Carrie, one's in space, one's in the city. I actually liked the remake, the Platinum Dunes remake. I thought it was so good. Like I really liked that one. But the other ones I wasn't a massive fan of, like Jason X. Like I don't really, it has no rewatchability for me.
I've seen when the girl's head freezes, and that was
bit's good. Yeah,
but
the only good bit.
I need you to make me a promise though, because here's the thing: I've been watching horror forever, and once the franchise goes into space, it's generally over. Please drop me an email if you're saying, "Dude, we're doing Pooh, Blood, and Honey, and we're doing it in space." Then I need to be like, dude, we can't, because Leprechaun is the only one that survived that. Everyone that goes into space, that's you telling me that the franchise is over. Leprechaun Leprechaun in the Hood, and probably ended up being one of my guilty pleasures. But once Pooh and
I love Leprechaun in the Hood. Leprechaun in the Hood and Back to the Hood, they're so fun. Like I think they're really, really fun.
I was out of nowhere, and when Mr. Ice-T, New York Undercover, or whatever he's on, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, when he and Warren Davis are going back and forth rapping, to me that's classic cinema.
It's so funny. I honestly find the Leprechauns so fun. I wish there was more of them, because I just feel like they're so like I can just enjoy them like in any mood I'm in. Number 4 in space, I actually find that the least enjoyable.
Exactly. I thought it was over.
Yeah.
I rented that. This is back in the day, when there were still video VHS, Blockbuster and all that. So you go and you rent that, right? And it's in it. It just says Leprechaun 4. That's all it says. There's nothing on it, and he's on the cover. You don't know it's in space until you pop it in, and then it says Leprechaun 4. And then I'm sitting back, popcorn, my hot dog, everything at the house, and then In Space comes in, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I've never seen a horror villain in space work very well. It's pretty poor. But I don't have any intention with Pooh being in space. Don't worry.
You heard that here. I'm gonna hold you to that. But man, I am I'm blown away. Like I said, I've been following it since I heard it was coming out. I hunted you guys down. I was afraid, because I was like, you guys are gonna blow up to the point where you guys are going to blow up. There's going to be more movies. There's going to be things, and they're not going to have time for a little guy like me. And I'm like, I'm going to get an interview, or I'm going to get a restraining order, and I got the interview, so I'm so happy.
I so appreciate you. Like you've been super supportive and everything. This is what it's all about. We want to make films for people that truly love horror and all that kind of stuff. With the first one, we really didn't have much money, and people go, "Oh, budget isn't an excuse." It is though. We didn't have money. And but with the sequel, I think people are going to see what we're about, and especially with Peter Pan, the script's done for that, and I know that's incredibly violent. And what we've got coming up, I feel like people are going to see what we're about a bit more. And the big thing is we just need people to keep watching it at the cinema. It really is that type of film where it's if you truly keep watching, the people that give us money will give us more money, and we can do more and bigger and better and all this kind of stuff. Every film, I feel like you're going to see an improvement. We don't want to go back. We want to go up. So, yeah.
As somebody who, like I said, literally, we work with trauma. We've had Lloyd Kaufman out here. He's the oldest oldest independent cinema out there. So just to sit by him and see what he goes through as far as, you know, getting things together and seeing these things come together. I think that's the lost art of independent filmmaking, is that because we've seen so much homogenized horror and so much refined horror, we forget that a lot of the stuff you have wouldn't happen if some dude with a VHS, a Betacam somewhere in the woods, like Sam Raimi, and you know, if they didn't make, you know, a movie for like nothing, you don't have a lot of the stuff that you have now. And it's a lot. We have streaming, we have everything, and it's cool. But there's nothing like going out and seeing a horror movie in the theater with the right environment. Like when we saw Pooh, Blood, and Honey, dude, the opening with the cartoon, when we figured out what the Eeyore, it's like, spoiler alert, guys, spoiler alert. When I'll probably put the spoiler banner under there, because there's going to be a lot of people who will now see Pooh, Blood, and Honey for the very first time. Not just coming out, but that cartoon opening was classic. I'm like, wow.
You've got more of that in the sequel. That's going to be a thing that we're going to do. It's our kind of like little signature for every single film. So every single film we make in this universe is going to open with a fairy book opening, kind of explaining the origins a little bit.
It's beautiful because, like I said, a lot of our we're like, well, okay, because we're counting. We see all this. Where's this guy? Where's this guy? And then obviously we knew the public domain issues, but I'm like, Eeyore's there. I think. Oh, and they got him. Yeah. And that just put me into I wanted to hate the humans. I'm like, Christopher, how could you do this? And the pictures of them with their ribs showing, and they're closing in on Eeyore, and I'm like, oh man, this sets the tone for this movie in a way that's like, you know, it's great. But like I said, I loved it. It's everything that you wanted in the slasher movies that, like I said, has gone away. Like, listen, I mean, I'm all for what, you know. And I always tell people, nothing real happened in these movies. The girl that's in the wood chipper, she's out, she's doing acting, she's okay. Just like my dad told me, the dog that died in the movie, there's 10 of them, they're okay. It's entertainment. The girl getting put in the wood chipper is an art form of horror movies. It's not an act against women. But back in the 80s when we were kids, you didn't have those questions. You got killed the way, you know, you got killed, and then you had the final girl, and you know, in part 3 of Friday the 13th, the guy, as I'm I think 9 or 10, whatever I'm at in the movie theater, I'm watching a guy get his head compressed so much where his eyeball pops out in 3D. Yeah. And, you know, and the girls get hacked, the girls get thrown into stuff, the girls get, I mean, all in the gratuitous, you know, all the, you know, gratuitous nudity. I'm like, that's what I grew up with. There is no reason for a bunch of strangers to go out to a camp where other people have already died, and the first one strips down and goes in skinny dipping. She doesn't know any of these people are. You know, she's dead. I mean, this is what the 80s was for me, and like I said, I just think horror has lost its edge, in my opinion. You've gotten the whole torture stuff, and you've gotten and that this just brings you back to just the basic bare bones. People show up, people die, and artistically great ways, and it's there for your entertainment. So listen, dude, I think you already know from our chain of communication how excited and happy I am for you guys. And thank you for giving me the people that, you know, because they've been a joy to interview. But
totally.
I would say good luck. I don't think you need it.
No, I do need it. We always need it. Every film is another thing. It's just like it's never easy. So yeah, thank you.
I think you're well on your way. And listen, thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for giving me the time of day and making everybody available. This is gonna be a fun ride.
Oh, thank you so much. I really hope you enjoy it, and I hope you like the announcements we've got coming.
Well, I'm now you got me excited. All right, Scott Chambers, everybody.
Thank you.
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey already out there. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 coming at you whenever they announce it.